I was asking the question, why should I believe this stuff? And I did become convinced of this. The Christian faith rises or falls on the identity of Jesus of Nazareth. And so that means that the key question I think that we need to wrestle with is this. Are Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John historically reliable accounts of actual events? And I think all four of them are, but I would just say if just one of them is, if one of these documents is historically reliable and it recounts actual events, then we ought to pay attention to it. You know what I'm saying? I am especially concerned, and you know, a part of our church is focused on mobilizing the next generation as leaders in Jesus' movement. Well, we're gonna have to help them understand why we believe what we believe about Jesus. And so that we're gonna study through Luke, and we're gonna look at everything he shows us, but we're also going to look at it from the perspective of, do we think this is a historically reliable account of Jesus in actual events? Okay, let's start with the author of this gospel account. His name is Luke. He was a physician by trade in the first century. He was not Jewish. He became a follower of Jesus based on the eyewitness accounts of others who shared their stories with him. He became a believer. He traveled with the Apostle Paul, who wrote half of the Christian scriptures. He ended up going to Jerusalem with him at least once, I suspect more times. So he got to know the inner circle of Jesus' disciples like Peter, like John, and we do know that he rubbed shoulders with Jesus' half-brother James, who became a leader in Jesus' movement after he witnessed his own brother's resurrection. And I suspect that he also got a chance to either talk to Mary, we don't know, or he got the stories of Jesus' birth, because Luke is one of the four accounts that tells the story of Jesus' miraculous birth. And so Luke begins his account of Jesus' life by seeking to hook his readers. He's got a purpose behind this gospel account, and he tells everybody up front why he's writing this account of Jesus' life. So let's start with Luke chapter 1, verse 1. He writes, "Many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us." Next, Luke wants us to know how he went about writing his account. Okay, so this is Luke chapter 1, first part of verse 3. "With this in mind, that I'm gonna write this account, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning." And here's the part I want us to focus on. He says, I carefully investigated all of this. That means he did research. He went to all of the people he could find who were eyewitnesses, who could give firsthand accounts of what they heard Jesus teach, what they saw him do. And that's why Luke includes the accounts of so many parts of Jesus' story that you don't see in the other gospel accounts. I think it's very significant. And that he says he carefully investigated all the way back to the beginning. Luke is not spinning a story, he's writing history. He makes his writing orderly, and you're gonna notice this as you read through Luke, by setting his account of Jesus' life in a certain time period, and he dates it. He doesn't think I'm writing the Bible. He's just writing history. He's writing the history and including Jesus' teaching so people who wanted to follow Jesus would know who he was, what he did, what he taught, and why we ought to follow him. That's all he's thinking about, is giving this historic account of Jesus' life. And so the question for us to consider is this: do you think Luke is lying or is mistaken? If you decide to not follow Jesus or to stop following Jesus because it's inconvenient, that's at least logical. I get it, because there are times it will be inconvenient, but please, 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 Don't not follow Jesus or stop following Jesus because you've not seriously investigated Luke's account of Jesus' life with an open mind and an open heart. Because if you do, and that's what I'm inviting you to do this summer, and if you're gone, I know people traveling this summer, watch us online and go through the reading plan. If you'll follow with us and investigate Jesus, my hope and my prayer is that you will be convinced too. Because I became convinced that 2,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened through an extraordinary man. And that everybody in his day knew it wasn't just for them. They knew it was for all people over the whole world of every generation. And so they felt compelled, many of them felt compelled to write the account of his life so that you and I could have a chance to believe in Jesus and follow him too. It's for you, it's for me, it's for us, it's for our city, for our country, and our world.